my heart for you.
Ow.
I was trying to pat
What the hell's
heart.
wrong with you, woman?
I was trying to pat the heart. I'm sorry.
Hi, everybody. It's happened in our house. Love.
I don't think they can tell. Those are love-shaped cookie cutters. Zoe and I will be making
They
this
are.
week. I have the world's best sugar cookie recipe. It's like to die for.
Whose is it?
It's my mother's.
No, I was just checking.
I can bake.
I know you can. No, trust me, I do. You know, I just love this. We saw this during the Christmas season when they put letters up in department stores like Target and stuff, and they decide, you know what we're going to do this year is we're going to use all the letters. So instead of just love and life and truth and that, we're going to put all the letters there so you can spell anything you want. Not ever a good idea.
Although in my family, I caught my nephew spelling out sanguinaceous, which is a lot more complicated than most of the other four-letter ones you'd find.
Right.
So that was good.
Right, but it was all in the spirit of giving.
Absolutely.
I am heartbroken, literally. Crunch. Guess what's not going to be here for Valentine's Day?
You're going to talk about this later?
I'm going to tell you about it coming up later.
This is very heartbreaking. It's one of the key elements of Valentine's Day.
And it's wrong. It's ruined. It's over.
This is the basis of all of your memories as a child when you exchanged Valentines. All of your memories.
All right. So here's one thing we learned today.
One good news.
I know. We learned today that because of the furloughing, that some of the major airports are slowing down.
I think that's a given.
On purpose, to make it safe.
Well, yeah, but TSA is like struggling because they've had so many people calling in sick, and air traffic controllers have actually started lobbying in Washington going, we're under incredible stress. A lot of us haven't come in, and we're trying to keep all the planes going. I mean, it's been stressful to the point where the Canadian air traffic controllers have been sending over pizza like, you guys okay?
But actually,
slow it down.
Just this morning, they eliminated like most of the flights leaving like Philadelphia to like 77.
That's a lot.
Instead of everyone needs help. And here in Utah, it's the same way. And when you talk about families, you talk about food for them, you talk about taking care of the house, talking about heat, you're talking about your pets. Okay, now dog food.
Dog and cat food is expensive.
It's expensive, and the fact is that you know how important it is because obviously
they need to eat.
But what do you do if you are against it right now? There is food for your dog waiting for you at Best Friends Animal Society of Utah.
Now this one is at 20005 South and 1100 East, and they have dog and cat food. Just show your federal ID, and they will get you set up for your pets. I have noticed that there's a couple of veterinarians who have also been offering some help and some services because people have had a really hard time trying to get care for their animals.
Yeah.
When you don't have any money, that's like...
No, this is true. Now the pantry is only open Tuesday or Thursdays from 4 to 7 and Saturdays from 11 to 3. But if you're a person who has a dog and you're doing okay, why not go and buy an extra bag and drop it off? And once again, it's the Best Friends Animal Society of Utah.
If you go to bestfriends.org, you can find out the information there.
And dump off some food. I mean, you know, Mike, our producer, do you know what he drives around with? 4 big bags of dog food in the back of his car. And then he goes and delivers them. So
yeah, for relief and rescue operations.
Exactly. So that's what this is. They're trying to help out.
This is the thing I hate and I love at the same time. It's times like this when things are awful and you feel so bad and it's so rough. But this is the time that I also feel the happiest because I see how amazing people are and how creative they are. And they come up with solutions. You're like, well, of course we need that. That didn't even occur to me. That's genius.
Right.
And this is when I think we're at our best. It makes me sad. It's happening and it's so unfair. But I love the fact that people are showing who they're made of,
well,
what they're made of.
And if you think about it, you know, small gesture. Our dog eats, medium-sized dog, $12, and it will last about 4 weeks. So for $12, taking care of someone's dog.
It's a big difference.
It's a big deal.
All right, well, Skippy is up at Sundance. You may remember I am Skippy. We call him our excitable ginger. But Skippy is proudly named as the 41-year-old virgin. And he is literally the Sundance Film Festival's unofficial mascot. And he has run into more celebrities than anyone I have ever met. And he is the master of the selfie.
May I say that he can talk anyone into a photo with him, and they actually have conversations.
Like
Next
the
thing you
mean
know,
ones.
they come back the third year and they go, Skippy. And he doesn't have to introduce himself.
Well, like Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, he liked him so much, she's like, you have to come hang out with me on Chelsea Lately, on the talk show, for no reason other than he thought he was adorable.
He's been invited to weddings. Remember?
No. So in any case, really, Sundance kicks into gear today. So we're going to start seeing some interesting selfies. But he gave us a compilation of the best, like the nicest celebrities run into over the years. And the meanest.
Dun, dun, dun,
a couple of those are going to really surprise you.
Let's watch.
Hi, Todd and Erin. By the time you're watching this, Sundance is today. It's this morning. It technically started, as I'm recording this, on Thursday with some premieres, but for all intents and purposes, the main day of meeting people. In fact, I was literally up in Park City, which is straight up that road behind me earlier, and the town is getting ready for the big party tomorrow. So I thought that what I would do tonight is, or this morning, is tell you my top 3 best celebrities that I've met up at Sundance. Like the 3 that you can always count on as being really good people, okay? So my number, well, you know what? I'll do 3, 2, 1. How does that sound? Okay, so the number 3 person I'm gonna put is actually an interviewer. Everyone loves Ben Lyons. Now, Ben Lyons has worked for like every outlet there is pretty much. You see the photo, you'll recognize him. Ben is one of the genuinely nicest people that I've ever met up at Sundance. His wife is actually from Utah. She is a former Skyline Eagle, and I believe her name is Mariah and Ben Lyons. But Ben is, you'll see him every year. He is actually a really good person to, if you spot him on the street, just know he either just came from interviewing an A-lister or he is about to interview an A-lister, but everyone should love Ben Lyons. For the number 2 spot, I'm going with Molly Shannon from Saturday Night Live and Superstar. She comes up here frequently enough that if she sees you more than once, she'll try to remember your name, she'll give you a great big hug, and she'll stop her publicist and talk to you for forever. So number 2 is Molly Shannon. The person I'm gonna put as number 1 is Jason Ritter. Now, Jason Ritter, you can talk about his dad, but his career is now at the point where if you IMDb him, his career's gotta be as long as his dad's for as many things as he's been in. But the other great thing about Jason Ritter is that he is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. Like, he was sympathetic. He had about an hour before the next place he had to be, and I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to stop you or interrupt what you're doing." And he goes, "No, I've actually got an hour." And he goes, "I can have a good conversation." And he goes, "Unless you need to be someplace." And I'm like, "No, Jason Ritter, I do not." And he was actually there with his at the time girlfriend, Maria Palka. By the way, Jason is now married to one of the stars of 2.5 Men, Melanie Lansky, right? But his at the time girlfriend, her name is Mariana Palka, and she is actually in the show on Netflix right now called Glow, right? She's one of the gorgeous ladies of wrestling, and she's actually hosting the final, the end of Sundance shindig, right? So that's Jason Ritter's ex, but Jason Ritter is genuinely one of the nicest people you will ever meet in your life. If he is up here, and he's almost always up here, he'll take a photo with you. He'll take a photo with anyone and everyone. He is like the boy next door meets like the best friend you always wanted to have. Jason Ritter is that awesome. All right, so those are my top 3. When I talk to you next, I'm going to talk to you about the worst 3, the 3 worst celebrities that I've met at Sundance. Okay, so now it's time to talk to you about what everyone wants to know about. Who are the 3 worst celebrities of Sundance? And this one is actually pretty easy also. One of the people, the person coming in the number 3 spot, is a horrible, horrible human being. The other 2 are just people that are jerks, and you wish that they would be nicer, right? Because you like want them to be nicer because you actually like things that they're in. The person in the number 3 spot is Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, even before we knew all the horrible things about him, just being around him, you could kind of feel how horrible of a person he was. If he got a photo with you, it was begrudgingly, and just the amount of people that you could sense that were on pins and needles about him, like because he controlled their fate. He just had a really, really bad vibe about him. Number 3, which could be the number 1 person easily, but number 3 is Harvey Weinstein. Okay, the number 2 biggest jerk of Sundance. This one is really disappointing because anyone who loves Monty Python is going to be crushed to find out that John Cleese is as big of a jerk as I've ever met at Sundance. Everyone says, okay, they come to Sundance, they're human beings, just leave them alone. If they want to be left alone, just leave them alone, right? I get that. I totally get that, right? John Cleese said no to every photo of every person that I had heard, whether on the other side of the red carpet or just out on the street. It's not like I met people that were walking up to him at restaurants. We're talking about people that were trying to get his photo with him going into his premiere. John Cleese said no to everyone. And not only did he say no to me, he said, is it going to be like this everywhere I go here? And I'm like, yeah, it's the festival. It's kind of how it always is. And he goes, what a bother this week is going to be. And he wasn't even there for a week. He was only there for a couple days. But he just, John Cleese, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, giant jerk. Okay. The number 1 biggest jerk of Sundance, in fact, I used to refer to this as the John C. Reilly Biggest Jerk of Sundance Award, is John C. Reilly. John C. Reilly, here's the reason why I dislike him so much. He was going into a movie to judge it, right? He was in town to judge movies that year. And I saw him going in, not knowing that he was there as a judge, but I said, hey, John, can I get a photo with you? And he goes, I'm going into a movie. And I go, oh, afterwards? And he goes, sure. And okay, shame on him for having said sure, right? But an hour and a half later, I'm still there, and I go, hey, John, can I get a photo with you? You said you would. And he goes, don't you have something better to do with your life? And I was like, I'm sorry? And he goes, like, why do you even do this? And I was just like stunned. It's not like I had gone up to him and been mean. I hadn't been pushy. I was standing where I was supposed to. And in fact, even one of the security guards was like, dude, you didn't do anything to deserve that. I'm like, I know I didn't. I'm a really nice person. And then, okay, so that's a one-off, right? Some will say like, okay, well, that's just one time. Maybe he's a great guy at other times. Okay, another year that he was here, John C. Reilly was coming down the stairs. I told my friends he's not going to get photos with anyone. Someone said they thought they saw him getting a photo with someone. So I run over to where he is, and he's about to get into his vehicle. And I go, John, can I get a photo with you? And I'm near the van, and he goes, if you don't move, I'm shutting your head in the door. And I go, what? And I didn't realize, like, as I was standing, I was trying to put my head in so I could get him in the background either way. And he literally starts to shut the door on my head. Right now, shame on me for being close enough where that could happen. But at the same time, what would it have killed him to have paused for a second, you know? And I went because I thought that he was being nice to people. My bad. John C. Reilly is not a nice guy, at least not up at Sundance. Maybe he is at other times. And it's so disappointing because I love shake and bake. I just wanted to shake and bake with John. But anyways, there you have it. The top 3 biggest jerks of the Sundance Film Festival.
It's over. It's over. Pack it up. Valentine's Day, put it away. Forget it. It's over.
What do you mean?
Over. Not going to happen.
Why would you say that?
Because, you know the guys who made Necco wafers?
Yeah, the things that are actually indigestible, we've already decided were the most loathsome Halloween candy ever.
And they made them for no apparent reason.
Really, because perhaps it was a punishment for your children back then, I don't know.
Well, they sold their place.
Oh, well,
Round
okay.
Hill Investments bought Necco wafers, covered in chalk.
And tasting that way.
Evidently, they're going through a little bit of a, not retooling, what do they call it?
Well, it's reorganization. You got to put everything back in. You got to hire people.
Okay, but here's the point.
Okay.
Here's the point. The little hearts that say, love you.
Our candy conversation hearts, yeah.
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 Not this year.
Why?
Because they decided not to make them until next year.
That's right. Necco's, that's the only other thing they make are the conversation heart candies for Valentine's Day. That could be the only thing you're making money on, and you're not going to do it?
Who do you think you are? We count on those inedible hearts.
I think they're delicious except for the green ones.
I think they all taste the same, don't
Oh,
they?
no, heavens no. There's complete difference. But no, that's like the basis of your childhood, right?
Mention
the, like
that.
the little
Do you
hearts.
agree?
And if you had a boy you had a crush on, you would try to read too much into the little candy hearts he sent you, like they would pay attention. But no, they taste different. The pink ones are actually a tiny bit spicier. The green ones taste like vomit. The white ones are more like a peppermintish. Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Huh.
Totally.
Interesting.
Well, see, you never actually tasted them because you didn't eat them. You just looked at them.
No, what you can do though, this is for adults only. What's the date today? How much time do we have?
I think it's the 23rd or the 24th.
Oh, so we have time.
25th. Oh my gosh.
Ooh. Okay, so you go online and you have custom ones made. Sassy ones. Dirty.
Todd gave those
some
to me
would say.
one Valentine's.
Yes, and you can buy them, and they come. And then see, now you can keep the spirit going.
Is that what we're calling it now?
You know what? They bought the warehouses. They bought the equipment. There it is. There's a mixer. Here's the inedible ingredients on a shelf. You take that, you put it in a mixer, you put it in a machine, the hearts come out, you make money.
I am surprised. That's the only thing that actually makes money with Necco, and they're not doing it this year.
Twinkies did it with Hostess.
I feel a little
Twinkies,
violated.
it was a seamless operation. It was like Twinkie sold the company, another Twinkie coming out the other end.
You want to hear the most eerie story ever?
Please do.
My girlfriend Linda, who is a bookseller in Chicago,
Yes.
used to work in a bookstore where it was actually made out of an old plant where they made Twinkies and several other of the items.
Yes.
There are pipes that ran above them because they kept it very cool and industrial
Shush.
that were still filled with the right creamy filling. And nobody had ever bothered to clean them out because why would you when
Did they leak?
last forever? So above her rested all of the remains of Twinkies
And you know what it is, actually, don't you? Lard.
and the
and
tears of
sugar.
small children.
And the...
Time to move on. Okay, this one's kind of sad. The Utah State Auditor. Now, I've never even heard of Fayette. It's a very small town in Utah.
Yes, it is.
And apparently they had to do a special project report on Fayette town because they just found out, the Utah State Auditor just found out the town clerk had misappropriated
Whoopsie.
$300,000. Now you're thinking,
Over...
that is a fair chunk of money.
Yeah.
Well, she had done it over the period of 9 years. Nobody had caught her for 9 years. You would think at some point with a tiny town budget, because this was 12% of the budget.
12%. She's still
So you would figure at some
12%
point
of the budget.
one of the mayors would go, well, where's the other 12% of the budget from this year? But apparently nobody seemed to notice that.
Just in case you're a criminal in training,
Over
this
12%.
this is how she did it.
Now here's the best part. It's not even like she was sneaky. She wrote $97,000 worth of checks to herself, like, hey, from the town of Fayette, I'm writing it to
me.
Tracy K. Miller. So there, everybody first. The second was $230,000 in checks issued to the company that she and her husband own, which would mean, once again, would go, why there's so many?
Right.
Yeah, and then there was like some random ones where she just issued blank checks or she cashed them for other random
She had
projects.
them printed, actually, so she could write more checks. Now, I have two questions.
Wow.
Two questions.
Yes.
Number one, why wasn't she caught over 9 years?
Well, the new mayor was finally the one who said, look, I'm going to need an audit because this seems really weird. Yeah. So it literally wasn't until the brand new mayor, Brenda Leifson, came in and went, that can't be correct.
Because she balances her checking account. She knows. She can look online and go, oh, it all makes sense, right?
Over 12%
Here's the
of
question.
the city's budget, and you never noticed.
What was the total amount?
Over $300,000.
And why are you living in Fayette?
That's where you're getting all your money.
What, don't you take it and go someplace different than Fayette? Not that I have anything against Fayette, and I'm sure it's a
We've
beautiful
never
town.
been there. We don't know.
Except for like 12% of the stop signs aren't there. Because she took it.
Just the fact though that there wasn't any actual effort, I feel almost a
just
little
think-
disappointed in her. It's like, really, you couldn't
just
even have
think-
tried to be sneaky?
And it's
But
almost
no.
like your court defense is, they didn't even catch me. I'm writing checks
It's
to
been 9
myself.
years. Come on.
It's like, is there a judge in the land
Well, here's the
who would
sad
hold
thing.
me responsible?
To keep her out of jail, because this is a felony by now, she agreed to repay back $150,000 of it. And here's the funny thing: that's all they could charge her with because the statute of limitations had run out on the rest.
Are you
So
are
they
you
know she
kidding me?
took all the rest of it, but it's been so long they couldn't charge her with it.
Are you kidding me? And she stayed there. She didn't leave and go
Well,
to
why
like
would you-
Acapulco.
Why would you leave when you know that you can just write checks to yourself?
Because eventually down the road, you know you're going to the slammer, but evidently no.
It's been 9 years.
Now
maybe
it's like a
not.
parking ticket.
Okay, let's cleanse
All
the
right.
palate with something beautiful.
my
You ready? Tell me something good. This is brought to you by PC Laptops, our dear friends at PC Laptops who built us the most incredible computer ever. They've got some coming out for $9.99 that will do everything but mix bread for you. But they start as low as $7.99 for
that, too.
desktops and laptops
Right.
and lifetime service and parts warranty. Okay, this is amazing. Shaylee Booker, she was hiking in Diamond Fort Canyon last week.
Okay.
And she's pretty cool. I did not know this, and I'd like to go do this. They have natural pools at the Fifth Water Hot Springs. Now, this was on Sunday, and she says you get to sit in the warm hot springs, and
I
it's
wanna
cold.
do
and
this.
She says, I'm surrounded by nature. It's so beautiful.
Yes.
Well, so she got up, and she was just kind of rinsing herself off. I'm ready to get out, and a huge boulder cut loose, came down the hill,
What?
and nailed her. She said the giant boulder nailed me right into my back, and she passed out because, ow, it's super painful.
It's a boulder.
And I can't even, and she says, and then when I came back too, I felt the pain, which is like nothing I have ever felt before. She says, I've given birth to 2 children.
Right.
Nothing compared to this. Now, she was terrified because at this point, she has no idea where her cell phone is.
Is she pinned?
Yes. And she doesn't, and she can't even get a signal. And this is when there's a miracle. A complete stranger stops.
Right.
Benjamin Bassey was going through Utah on a snowboarding road trip, and his mom had given him a satellite phone going, look, wherever weird, crazy, out in the mountain place you are, I want you to be able to call me.
That's a really smart move.
So he had a satellite phone with him and his snowboard, and he got in there and he says, so I lent my GPS and I got the EMS involved.
Right,
and once
right,
they
right.
arrived, it was clear they needed all the civilian help they could get. So he stayed there, held her
Right.
hand, talked with her, took photos, and then she had helicopters circling above her about 2.5 hours later.
Getting ready to go.
And it was amazing. It took 3 hours, helicopters, 20 different search and rescue teams, EMTs, and an ambulance because it took that much to get her out of where she was and what was happening with her poor back.
You have all this time. What is she thinking about?
She said, all I was thinking is that I've got 2 kids at home. She has 2 daughters. She's a single mom, and one of her little ones has Down syndrome. And she said, this is everything I could think of. She goes, who's going to take care of my kids?
Right.
And for anyone who's got a child with special needs, that's everything you think
Right.
of as who is going to take care of my child? How are they
Right.
going to pay for their medical expenses? How are they?
Right.
So the boulder broke her spine in 3 places. The breaks are inoperable, and it's going to take months for her bones to fuse back together, I
Right,
guess.
right.
Now, the thing, she says, look, I feel really grateful, though, she goes, because even where I got hit and broke my spine, if it had gone the smallest fraction of the direction on either side of my body, I would have been completely paralyzed.
Oh wait, she's not paralyzed?
No. So
She
has...
broke her back in 3 places and didn't hit the spinal cord, and so she is not paralyzed.
So they've got her in a brace like you
Oh,
can't
yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
The woman looks like she's just like in this metal,
Right.
So she's on bed rest for the next several months because she literally cannot move. She has to stay to
Right.
let everything fuse back together. And she said,
Right.
my daughter's medical needs still have to come before mine. And she was trying to resist actually even going to the hospital.
Sure.
So,
Oh yeah, because what? 3 broken back things.
well, here's the irony. She's a yoga instructor. That's how she makes
Oh.
her living. So anyway, there is a GoFundMe page for Shaylee, and it's
What's her
called
name?
Shaylee Booker.
Okay.
Shaylee Booker. And so you've got the information here on the screen. I'll also leave it here on Facebook for
Mm-hmm.
you today if you'd like to donate. But if you see the picture of her and her daughters, her little daughter's just got her smile, just so
Oh my
super
gosh,
cute.
they're gonna torture her.
Oh, can you
'cause
imagine?
she's-
It's not like you can get out of bed. I'm going to eat the
Scratch
ice
my
cream.
nose. I'm not gonna scratch your nose unless I got ice cream. Scratch my nose. Come on, please. Where's the cake? We should call Pizza Hut.
So
We should-
anyway, you can stop by GoFundMe if you'd like to give Shaylee some help. But what an incredible thing. Number 1, how terrifying with the boulder. Number 2,
Right.
fractions of an inch. And it could have been something so much worse.
Well, I just redo this just for really quickly for the Best Friends Animal Society of Utah, and they have dog food and cat food if you need it. They might even have gerbil food.
For federal workers who are furloughed federal
All
workers.
right, you guys have a great day. Please share the show if you will. It annoys people. And
Also, if you'd like to go by and like our page, tell me something good. It's always happy stuff. We also have glitter and glue guns, which is DIY seasonal decor, which means there's always something new for me to
glitter
put
is
up.
horrible.
It is the herpes of craft supplies.
It is.
But it's necessary. We'll see you Monday.
Yeah, Monday. Have a great weekend.